Good morning, officer.
Good morning, sir.
You've testified here this morning that you recall arriving at the Time Mega House approximately 3:26 a.m.
Yes, sir.
And were there officers there in addition to Officer Brandon when you arrived?
No, sir. As I arrived, I parked in the driveway and I observed Officer Brandon jumping the curb and parking on the front lawn. It was almost simultaneous.
And you were approaching the house as he was entering the house?
We went up the walk, yes, sir, together. He was just exiting his car as I did.
You recall the lighting in the area?
There was a porch light on, and there are some street lights on Jefferson Street.
And who met you at the door?
I don't know the name of the young lady, sir. There was 2, possibly 3 young ladies in the foyer, but I did not get any of the names.
Were you present when either one of the persons who met you at the door gave a description to Officer Brandon?
No, sir, I was not.
You went immediately upstairs?
Yes, sir, immediately upstairs.
The first victim you saw was Kathy Kleiner.
Yes, sir.
Did you speak to her?
No, sir, not directly. She was in shock, or appeared to be in shock, and was incoherent, so talking to her would have been to no avail.
And then you next encountered Karen Chandler.
Yes, sir.
Did you speak to her?
Yes, sir.
Can you recall that conversation?
Not word for word. The gist was that she did not know what had happened. She knew she was hurt, and she was concerned about Kathy.
You recall her telling you that she remembers the assailant being young?
Objection.
Restate the question.
Do you recall her saying anything about whether she remembered being assaulted?
No, sir. I basically just inquired as to her condition and the seriousness of her injuries and how she felt.
Next, you approached room 4, is that correct?
The room, according to my report, I remember to be room 4, yes, sir.
Now, your testimony, the door was closed?
Okay, good. Okay.
Any further testimony on the motion?
I feel like I need to call Officer Hayward just briefly, Judge.
All right. Officer Hayward. Sergeant, I guess he is now.
Your Honor, we approached the bench.
Yes, sir.
I have no recross on this witness.
marked his report on your,
We've marked the report, this one. This is,
Just
defense.
asking if that's the full report, and if it's accurate.
Sergeant Hayward, I'm showing you a document listed marked as defendant's proposed exhibit A1 identification. Ask you to identify that, please.
concerned with the same thing. I appreciate your interest in it. All right, we'll be in recess then until Monday morning.
Where's a bigger box? Sure, that's the heaviest box wins.
It must be a Jerry Thompson file.
Yeah, that's the inconsistent statements file in Jerry Thompson.
You know what's been on my mind since I've been in here?
You've got to be kidding.
Telling you, that's all I'm thinking about.
You miss me?
Yeah, I do. You know, every day. Yeah, he doesn't like me to be late.
No? You watching it?
Oh, yeah. Watching it, are you? Watching it?
He's a sister.
Yeah. If we had info, we'd better get more of the paper.
He's nice.
Yes, he said, sure he's hooked up. I said, he's sick.
Yeah, you don't take no more life. He's the boss. And here I thought I was fading out.
This thing is picking up too bad.
Well, I missed you.
I think she's going to been testified to previously.
I was gonna develop a different point now.
Well, I understand that, but she's already testified to it. Use that as an already established projection point, proceed on.
Was the image that you held for Mr. Arroyo, how would you describe it? As clear or fuzzy
I'll let her.
or anything in between?
It's hard for me to answer that. The details were clear, not any clearer than before.
In that they were extremely wicked, shockingly evil, vile, and the product of a design to inflict a high degree of pain and utter indifference.
To prove a crime with circumstantial evidence. Listen very carefully to him as he tells you that, because there's no aura surrounding the term of circumstantial evidence. It's good evidence. In this particular case, what kinds of circumstantial evidence do we have? Well, let's see. We have a man that has been positively identified as living in Tallahassee back during January of 1978. That is a circumstance in this case that you have got to take into consideration, because it is a circumstance that is consistent with guilt and it was being passed around. January the 7th of 1978, the defendant in this case signed this lease in Tallahassee at a rooming house called the Oaks with the the name of Chris M. Hagan. Now, ladies and gentlemen, on one side of the dance floor, and that he was staring. If I remember right, she put her hands like this and she said he was just scanning the whole area. Mary Ann Picano, her friend, also saw the man. Scared her so bad she can't even remember what he looks like. He came up to her and asked her to dance. What was the words that Mary Ann Picano used to her friends whenever she went to dance with that man? She said, "I think I'm about to dance with an ex-con." Ladies and gentlemen, there was a reason for that statement being made. And the reason ties directly into the testimony of Carla Black, who was the other girl that was in Sherrod's that night. She testified that she saw this man standing there also. She described what he looked like. And she said that he was staring at her. It was an intense and unnerving stare, is her exact words. She was asked by the defense, "Have you ever had a man stare at you in a bar before?" And what did she say? She said, "Not like that. It was a stare that made me very uncomfortable, as if that was what it was meant to do." Ladies and gentlemen, that is a circumstance